Today, we are diving into the top 5 GitHub Copilot features in Visual Studio Code. Ready? Let's go. The first feature that we will go through is Copilot Edits. This one is absolutely a game changer for quickly generating and refining our code. To see how it works, let's click on this down arrow next to the Copilot icon in the title bar and select Open Copilot Edits. This will open up this Edit with Copilot window. Now, to use it effectively, we have to do two things. First, we need to add the files that we want to work with under the working set. And then we have to tell Copilot what changes we want to make in that file. For example, I have a Flutter application open in my Visual Studio Code. Now, let's ask Copilot to add a login page to our Flutter application as an home page. Now, to make this change, the Copilot has to make a change over here in this material app and over here under home section. So we have to add a main.dart file under working set, which is already added. Now let's type our question in the chat window. Add login page with email and password fields with basic validation. Now, if I hit enter, Copilot will start doing that change. Let's hit enter. Now wait for the magic of Copilot. It's already started doing the changes in the main.dart file. Now Copilot has done the changes in our main.dart file. We can now review those changes, and based on that, we can accept and discard those changes. Now let's go through those changes. If we go to the top, as we can see in the material app, Copilot has made a change over here under the home section. It had changed it to login page as we have asked it to add a login page. And here is the login page that we asked. And we can see over here is the email field. This is the password field and it's working. So let's click on this accept button to accept the changes. Now to see the changes in action, let's run our application to see how the login page is looking. And as we can see, our login page is ready with email and password field. And if I click on this login button, we can see the basic validation is also in place, but the login page looks a little bit outdated. Okay, so let's go to the chat window again, type our question. Login page is looking very basic. Let's hit enter. Okay, now let's click on the accept button. And if we save this and if we go to the application, and we can see it has added a Flutter icon, added a border to our email and password field. And if I click on this login button, our validation is still looking good. So this is how the Copilot Edit works. Now the second feature is code completion. It uses advanced AI to help developers to write code faster and accurately by predicting and generating the code as we type. For example, let's go to the main.dart file and let's add a comment over here. Write a function to validate email address. And if I hit enter, it's already giving me a suggestion. So the code snippet that we are seeing over here, it's called as a ghost text. And as we can see, if we hover over it, we are seeing two options. If we hit tab, we'll be able to accept this code snippet. And if I just want to accept a part of this code snippet, I can use keyboard shortcut command right arrow and accept part of the code snippet like this. Okay, so this is how the code completion works. Next up, we have workspace agent, also known as the chat participants. This feature is all about context. GitHub Copilot uses our workspace, including the files in our project, to make the suggestions that are best for our current project. It's like having a personal assistant who understands our code base. To see how it works, let's click on this down arrow next to the Copilot icon in the title bar and select this option, Open Chat. This will open up this chat window. Now, in the chat window, we can activate the workspace agent using @ and type workspace. And next, we can type our question. For example, let's ask Copilot, where is the email validation logic in our code base? Where is email validation logic in my project? And if I hit enter, let's see. And as we can see from the output, this is the same function that we wrote using the code completion feature. Just like workspace agent, we also have VS Code agent. This feature link GitHub Copilot directly to our VS Code environment. So it not only suggests the code, but it can also help us with the VS Code related queries. For instance, I want to change the font size in my VS Code editor, but I don't know how to do it. So I can use VS Code agent for that. So I can go to the chat window and I can type @VS Code and type my question. How to change font size in VS Code. And if I hit enter, let's see. And as we can see from the output, VS Code agent has suggested how to change the font size, then how to change the font size in the terminal and also the zoom level. And if I click on this show in settings editor, it's directly taking me to the settings page, and here I can directly change the font size. So this is how the VS Code agent works with GitHub Copilot. Now let's see how we can use GitHub Copilot to fix our code. For example, let's close this and we are in the main.dart file. Let's remove this semicolon. Okay, now we have error in our file. Now let's right click in the editor, go to the Copilot option and select fix. It's going through the file. And as we can see from the output, the Copilot noticed that near the login page constructor, semicolon is missing. If I just click on the accept button, it will add that semicolon and we are good. Next, we can also ask Copilot to explain function or concept in our code. For example, I want to understand what this login function is doing. So I can just select this function, right click, go to the Copilot option and select explain. As we can see, it has given me a detailed explanation what the login function is doing in the main.dart file. Another way to use the explain feature is through the explain command. To do this, we are in the chat window already. So we just have to type /explain and our question. For example, I want to understand more about the column widget and how it works. So I can just type over here, what is column widget and how it works. Let's hit enter. And as we can see from the output, it has given me a detailed explanation how the column widget works, what are its key properties with an example in the chat window. And that wraps up our list of top 5 GitHub Copilot features in VS Code. Whether you are looking to speed up your coding or just staying organized or making your code more readable, Copilot has something for everyone. I would love to hear from you. What's your favorite Copilot feature? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, Don't forget to like and subscribe for more coding tips and tricks. Until next time, keep coding, keep learning, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coding!